Hi.
Hi, Stephen. This is Dr. Prasad, and good to have you as our one of the expertise for today. Before we start, let me give a brief intro for Stephen Nasir. He's an entrepreneur professional with extensive expertise in strategy, business development, stakeholder engagement, and project execution through diverse technology sectors. With over 20 years of experience, his initiatives in manufacturing, defense, and automation platforms driving growth through innovative technology solutions. One of the key achievements includes transforming a traditional facility into the MENA region, first advancing manufacturing platform with a $50 million investment. Super. Stephen has also played a significant leading role in smart city solutions, adaptive traffic control, and V2X technologies. His work has consequently delivered significant revenue ranging from $50 to $100 million per project. He has exceptionally contributed to the International Road Federation, advancing the AI, cybersecurity, and smart infrastructure initiatives in this region. This is the brief about Mr. Stephen Nasir, the his roadmap towards his expertise in the technology, various technologies he has built up. Looking forward, the stage is all yours, Mr. Stephen.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Stephen Nasser. I am the Chief Technology Officer, Chief Information Officer of Sabre, company based in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi, and being involved with a lot of vertical industries ranging from aerospace, defense, space, technology, mobility, and I'm playing a big role as part of the International Road Federation, an entity out of Washington, D.C. I'm the chairman of their Middle East, North Africa committee, and working very closely with all the government agencies, road agencies, to bring developments and, as you see today, in the transformations happening around mobility, transportation, and basically infrastructure in general. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and give a presentation on where is so yeah, I believe, can everyone see the screen right now? Yeah. Okay, so my presentation is on the rise of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, and I'm gonna try to not be very technical, kind of just overview, see what's happening, where we're going, and then I'm also going to bridge it around leadership. So just make it an interesting presentation. General, have you guys all on the call enjoy it. Those who know Peter Drucker, he's got some great books out there. I read a great book from him called Executive Decision, Executive Management. He says the greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence, it is to act with yesterday's logic. As we go through these two paradigms that are happening, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, you know, from time to time, we are still trying to hold on that, you know, these kind of transformations or these kind of disruptions, are they going to, you know, affect our jobs? Are they going to affect our lives? And we're looking a lot to the old. Sometimes we're looking to the past and say, gosh, you know, those good old days when things were not so turbulent and they were kind of normal and they moved at a kind of pace. So if we look at the changing business landscape today,
Hi, Steven. Sorry to interrupt. We
yeah,
couldn't see your presentation. Are you sharing the presentation with us?
yes, I am. I'm sharing the screen. Oh, here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. Okay, no worries.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we can see now.
Okay. Now you can see it, right? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Well, you heard my voice. Now you can see the slides again. I'm really sorry. So it's the rise of AI in cybersecurity is where we're going. I talked about Peter Drucker, very famous executive management, executive decision kind of professor, and you can see a lot of his quotes around the leadership, the management, And then here's where we are today, the changing business landscape. So if you look at around, in general, we are looking at, 5 key topics or triggers, if you want to say. So we got digital transformation, everything happening around connected. Today, pretty much 90% of your work is on your mobile phones. You can take your laptop, you can take your iPad, but if you walk around airports, you're sitting in on the plane waiting for takeoff, you're pretty much doing all your work on your phone, and that's an IoT, that's an Internet of Things. That means it's connected, and you've got the communication going. Then you got the cybersecurity challenges. So before, we probably had not as much an exposure out there of our data and information, but if you look at how much social media is affecting us today, whether we use it for news, or whether we use it to chat, or whether we use it to get information, we're just ready to give these social media platforms all of our information. Workforce transformation. So yes, we see a lot of that happening. If you look at robotics, if you look at automation, if you look at the kind of technology skills that are needed today, they change every day. Some people may be asking, what do universities and colleges, what do we need to learn? What do we need to teach? I'm a father, and I'm always asking myself, what do I teach my children? Where do my children need to go? Then we look at AI. That's a whole can of worms. Whether it is the AI we're seeing basically on our phones as we use generative AI, or the AI we see in transportation. We will also, I'll give you a presentation on that as we go through the slides. Or it's the AI basically that some people may link to robotics. And then you got changing customer expectations. So what does that mean? Today, a lot of when you're designing websites, or when you're designing applications, because of this kind of click, I need to get everything I need, and click, I need to get all the information I'm looking for, you don't have the opportunity for that latency anymore. You can't just say, oh, you know what, you got to wait a while. Or so the customer expectations are getting more and more intense. They're getting more and more heightened. In some cases, some people may say, I don't mind having all my information out there as long as I get the customized experience, and that's the customer expectations we need to deal with. Those who know Star Wars may say, oh, you know what, we can go back to AI being robots, C-3PO, R2-D2. I was born in 76. I grew up with Star Wars. It was, played a big role in my childhood. Okay. But then there's some that will say, you know what, it's just AI. So here you've got Dilbert. He's saying, hey, I need you to head up artificial intelligence. You'll have no budget. You have no success. You have nothing, but, feels good. It just makes me feel good to say we're working on it, so basically it just, again, it's the buzzword. Do we really understand it? Do we really need it? Or is it just kind of a phase, right? But the AI revolution is not just something happening today. It's always been around. There was AI all the way back in the 1990s. There was and then as we go through the years, and today we're 2025, what has really changed? Why are we suddenly now, back then we were still working with kind of AI and doing some AI applications, and we were doing big data analytics, and we were doing some level of deep learning. But why are we suddenly getting more and more freaked out today? Okay. Basically, we are seeing that, first of all, we have a lot of our data and information is being mined. And second of all, the speed, the power of the processors, and the amount of analysis and learning that these machines have gotten has completely transformed from where it was to where it is today. And that now makes AI a bit more of a concern. Okay. When I look at AI and in the kind of field that I'm working on, so Waymo is a car company. It's Google, basically, Google technology, geofenced. It's got a certain parameter that it drives around, and it's got the LiDAR sensors. They operate out of, so far, when I've ridden them and tried them out, San Francisco and Phoenix. And then you look at drones. Everyone talks about drones. They're being used. Then you look at OpenAI, which is ChatGPT. We all use it. It's kind of taken over our lives instead of going to a browser. And then this is, I'm not as much in the medical field, but this is interesting. This is the robot that they're using for surgery. And, you can see basically where robotics could be a form of AI to support in some applications. Here is an actual, so just a little thing about me. Grew up with Star Wars, and I also love Knight Rider. So I'm a Knight Rider fan, and I always wanted, it's really interesting. A lot of these Hollywood TV shows and movies are becoming a reality. So this is Waymo, and it just was cool to be standing there and have a car completely drive up to me. There was no driver. Again, this car is completely driverless. It's got radar and sensors. It's really cool. Also, it's a Jaguar. Okay, but it just kind of drives on its own, drives up to you, and does its thing. So this is a form of AI, you could say, that is taking place as autonomous vehicles, and it's using sensors and technologies to drive around. The other, the other form of AI in this case is what we call drones, and drones are becoming very popular because it's that way of seeking information. This is Teledyne. It's a defense company. And in this case, what you're really using the drone on is the eye in the sky, right? Here's an application where an unmanned system with optics instruments can, and it's quite small. It's literally almost looks like a little mosquito or a bug, and it just goes and gets all this information, and again, gathering intelligence, gathering data, being able to navigate decision. We don't need to go completely through this. And then here is the 𝐕𝐈𝐑𝐓 surgery robotics.
The 𝐕𝐈𝐑𝐓 surgical system is the most advanced platform for minimally invasive surgery available in the world today.
That's happening.
The integration of high-resolution 3D vision with fit instruments and intuitive motion control enables a 𝐕𝐈𝐑𝐓 surgeon to transcend the limitations of conventional surgical technologies. 3 network components comprise the 𝐕𝐈𝐑𝐓 surgical system: an ergonomic surgeon's console, a patient-side
So
cart
here you can,
with 4
this is an
interactive
interesting
robotic
form.
arms,
It's AI, it's
and a
robotics.
high-definition 3D vision
It's
system.
got vision, information, and vision
Seated at the
analytics.
console, the
Helps
𝐕𝐈𝐑𝐓 surgeon views a
do the
remarkably
surgery
clear 3D image of the
without
surgical field. The
any,
system
you could say,
scales, filters, and
complications
translates the
or
movements of the
concerns.
surgeon's hands on the master controllers to 4.
So as we look at AI and we're going into the future of it, there are a lot of aspects of it that we need to consider, and I believe that the correct way that AI should be used and AI should be thought of is a partnership with human intelligence, human creativity, and human leadership. Give in a case where you have limitations, or you don't have a certain kind of accessibility or ergonomics that you're looking for, or even precision that you're looking for, use AI, for that. But to say that, the AI is going to be everything, we can't do that because it can't be. Okay. But again, obviously, if we look at a typical desk or a typical workstation, between the laptops and the mobile phones and the iPads, we are connected. Everything around us is becoming digital. Okay. And now that takes us to the next concern. And of course, what I want to say is the most important, when I was earlier saying that, looking at the past. I mean, Peter Drucker was saying, the biggest turbulence is always just, not moving forward. We got to think forward. We got to keep on investing in ourselves, and we got to keep on learning and adapting to the changes. Because while we have AI and while we have the of course, the driverless car and the drones and all that, and you also have a fully connected workstation, your other biggest concern is the elephant in the room. And in many cases, we talk about it a lot when we're dealing with our computer desks. For sitting in an office or sitting in a corporation, we're always wondering, what is cybersecurity level and how secure are we? But cybersecurity now is becoming a bigger concern. You're hearing a lot of hacks. You're hearing a lot about cyber attacks. You've got a lot of hackers out there. That's because everything's changed. The threat landscape has changed. But if you look today at a typical cybersecurity workflow, ultimately you want to look at all your systems and your infrastructure. You want to look at your data. Data is everything. A long time ago, like I said, our data was some of it in paper form, in file cabinets, in safes. Today, we're in a digital safe. We're in a digital file cabinet. And all this is connected. And obviously, we want to, prevent theft. Okay, so that makes it very important to look at, what kind of breaches are happening every day, if any, what kind of access is happening, unauthorized access. And then finally, mitigating the disruption. You gotta have a plan to understand how to deal with minimizing any cyber attacks, or if they happen, how to respond. And again, how are we looking at the evolving the threat landscape? I remember my first computer. We're talking about McAfee and viruses and antivirus, but now today it's kind of jumped completely into another domain. Now you're talking about phishing and cyber attacks, and some of these attacks are caused by AI itself. It mimics your behavior, it learns your behavior, it almost responds to you in a way that you expect it to be normal, when in fact it's a hacker using some form of AI or machine learning to get to your system. So again, we're going from a situation where you could say things were a bit more static when you're dealing with just something as simple as some viruses or worms or scams, and some sort of malware, you could say. But now it's becoming dynamic. It's learning. It's changing. It's adapting. And again, a lot of experts, I'd say, would say it's not just a technological issue. It's a cyber security is also a human issue. Like some of the concerns, some of the situations we had to deal with was, the happy clicker at work. So every single time an email comes and there's an attachment, they just click on it, click, 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 click. And you gotta explain to people, you gotta teach people, you have to bring the awareness that, look at the domain, look at where this email is coming from. Look if there's anything different. Don't just click on it, because that's what the hacker wants. That's what the cyber hacker wants. They want you to just, be the sucker to get the mail, click on it, and open that phishing attack to your computer. Okay, and how serious is that? Well, I'm sure some of you have heard about the MGM Grand attack and what happened there, but this gives you an example of what they did.
On a morning in early September, MGM customers woke up to find their room card keys weren't working, slot machines were down, and ATMs unresponsive. To many, it seemed like a small malfunction in the resort system, but little did they know the hotel chain was under attack.
Hackers managed a big hit on two Las Vegas casino giants. MGM is facing a cyber attack.
Hackers have crippled the company's computer systems.
MGM was being held ransom for millions of dollars by hackers over the world. And all it took was a single phone call to bring the entire system down. So how was one of the world's most complex security systems taken down by something my grandmother would fall for? In this video, we break down the techniques the casino hackers used. And let's just say it wasn't like Mr. Robot. So, MGM systems were attacked by Scattered Spider, a group of young European and US hackers who specialize in what experts call phishing. Now, phishing isn't done with this. It's really done with this. Phishing sits in the same folder as phishing and schmishing. Most insane name, I know. Phishing is done through email, usually what your spam folder is filled with. Schmishing is done through text messages. You've probably gotten a spammy-looking text by your Amazon account being blocked. Then there is phishing, which is done via phone. If you've ever gotten a call about your car's extended warranty, that is phishing. And out of all these hacking techniques, it's the most successful. Back in 2020, Twitter was hit with a phishing attack that targeted employees via phone. Once the hackers had the credentials they needed to access Twitter's data, they took over 130 high-profile accounts ranging from CEOs to celebrities. They then sold these logins to a Bitcoin scam who tweeted from each of the stolen accounts, getting people to send them over $100,000 in Bitcoin. Now, how the hackers got into Twitter is the same way Scattered Spider got into MGM systems, with a single phone call.
I'm in.
Billions and billions are spent every year on cybersecurity trying to keep hackers out. But every day a new company is compromised because of phishing. So my coworker James is going to walk you through exactly how hackers use phishing to hold companies ransom for millions of dollars and the weak point hurting every company's cybersecurity system.
Okay, you ready? You paying attention? Here's how it could all go down. Now, there are a number of different ways phishing could work, depending on preferred methods and end goal. But generally, these are the steps. It starts with reconnaissance, which they'll use to identify their point of entry. The goal here is to gather as much information about the company as possible.
So you can you can get more information about that. But what I wanted to highlight, going to the customer problem, is that, to the employee or the people problem, is that in this case, and if you remember earlier with my presentation, you saw a desk with computers, with phones, with iPads, with everything. It's always in some shape or form a click away from a disaster. Whether it's coming to your phone as a phishing, whether it's coming to your email as phishing, there's always some form of how the hacker will get to somebody who will trust and believe that that information or that message or that link is authentic. So it's very important, to build a resilient cybersecurity framework, and it really it goes all the way from understanding the threat landscape, understanding what are the ways of attacking and the methods and what kind of security measures you can take, and then going to the culture of awareness and training. And then towards the end of it, and one of the most critical parts of it is to do this continuous cybersecurity monitoring and testing of your environment. Like you have to, it's like being married. It's basically, you got to continue working on it. You got to continue nurturing it, and like you have to be continuously promoting, monitoring, and securing your environment. It's not like, oh, okay, we're all clear today, we're fine. It's a daily event. It's a daily process. You need to have a well-documented framework and process, and you need to have a dedicated team whose only job is cybersecurity. So there's obviously today, if you look at leadership, and this is where I'm bridging into the leadership aspect, there's a lot we need to deal with as leaders, and there's a lot we need to deal with as leaders, and also I have to say that there's a lot we need to deal with as parents. Me being a father of a boy and a girl, very computer literate, very attracted to everything digital, and of course between games and being online, and I'm very strict on social media, but I do allow WhatsApp. But it's, again, we have to navigate between we need to adapt, we need to continuously learn. I want my children to be aware of all the technology disruption happening and all the processes, everything that's taking place, because obviously you can't just live under a rock. But there's also a balance between the risk and the innovation that's happening, right? And of course, the cybersecurity and what we're doing in terms of the data. You know, like there, of course, in the corporate world and as leaders, the data is helping us take decisions, helping us be more efficient, helping us be more proactive and productive. I mean, it's helping the company streamline. But if you then look at the other side, which becomes the personal and just how much of our information we want out there with the personal, like I'm one of those parents who if my children are using the iPad, I block the camera, okay? And I do that because I learned that, some sites are actually running algorithms where the camera sees that it's a child and kind of tries to bombard them or send certain kind of content. So I don't want any sort of biometric data or footprint on my children online. But again, for us who are constantly using our phones and our social media sites and everything, they have biometric data. So what I'd like to say is, when we're looking at ourselves as leaders today, is we, and even, as parents, is that the best way you exist as a successful, you could say parent or leader, is that, everything is fulfilled the way you want it to be fulfilled and the way it needs to happen, and without you necessarily continuously, having to kind of supervise over it, okay? I'm the kind of leader with my team that, the more they get done on their own, the more I feel proud as a leader that, they're able to be sustainable and resilient and sufficient because, at the end of the day, that's what we need to nurture. We need to nurture a leader in every single, employee. Like that's the job. Like sometimes I tell them, you know what, you don't need me. You guys can do this on your own. And they start feeling very, oh no, where are you going to go? Are you leaving us? And I say, no, but the more you can do without my presence, I have fulfilled my job and my role as a leader. And, that's also what we try to do as parents. Of course, nowadays it gets a bit complicated. So, when I look at combination, where are we trying to go? What are we trying to do? We're trying to be, we're trying to do a lot of things, okay? So we're trying to be agile and responsive. So we want to be able to be dynamic and jump around. We need to stay ahead of tech trends. I believe in a growth mindset. I always tell my team, it's not, you're going to fail if it's something new. You're going to fail if it's something challenging. I don't mind that because the failing is the learning. What I have a problem with is if you repeat, if you don't learn something from it. If this doesn't allow you to think differently, or this doesn't allow you to perform differently, then it's a lost fail. Or think about it. Yeah, it's a lost fail. There's nothing happened. Now you fail because the lesson was not learned. And of course, I always say that we're a work in process. We are a continuous work in process. We're continuously learning. And both these last 2 points, I also tell my children, if you've had a challenging day, if it was a challenging test, or something didn't go right, that's okay. It's not the end of the world, If it's something new, you've learned something. If it's something challenging, you're going to train yourself to adapt. We need to continuously nurture and support the stepping out of the comfort zone, because resilience and grit comes from that, and I always, in my role as a leader, I sometimes throw projects at team members at my team, and they say, this is new, to us. We've never done this before. I'm like, I know. Start learning, start doing the learning. So what that means is as we are embracing innovation and going out and doing the balance between innovation and the risk taking, what we want to do is we want to cultivate innovation And I really believe the way you cultivate innovation is that you, as I said, you step out of the comfort zone, you disrupt. As an entrepreneur, I would say I like to disrupt the status quo. You know, some of the technologies I've brought over here to the UAE. I remember when I went after installing camera-based parking systems in one of the malls, and people came up to me and said, you know, we already have there are already parking systems, you know, and all the and they told me all the specs are not camera based, they're infrared or ultrasonic, which means all that means is they just detect that a car is there and it turns green on and red. And I said, I know, but that's not going to be sustainable in the long term. You know, if you want to build a parking management plan, or you're going to build some sort of parking management roadmap and monetize on your parking better and manage your parking better, you need data. And this information that you're getting from there's no data being captured. But if it's a camera and it captures the license plate, you can build an entire data plan. I would say that today in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and all of UAE, all the parking management systems are now camera based. So I like to disrupt the core. And I really think that having an entrepreneurial mindset means also having a growth mindset, means it's not going to be easy the first time, and it may not be easy the millionth time, but you got to keep on growing and you got to keep on stepping out. And that's, again, I try to take that to the professional with my team, and also try to do the same thing with my children. So Socrates said the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And that's what I believe resilience and grit is, and also stepping out of the comfort zone is. This means that you continuously build something new in yourself, you continuously learn, you continuously adapt. And yes, the world is going to be transforming. We don't know where AI is going to go. Cybersecurity could also get to some levels of unforeseen attacks if we're talking about quantum computers. And I don't want to go there yet because, quantum computers, the size of I don't think all of us are going to invest in a computer that looks more like a fridge than a computer. But at the end of it, because it's more it functions differently as a regular computer. But what I'm saying is, the continuous learning, the continuous adapting is very important, especially nowadays. And the more we cultivate it in ourselves, and I always believe in what they say on the plane, put the mask on yourself first before you put on someone else. We lead with the examples. We lead it with examples to the people we lead, to our team members and our employees, and also as a parent to our children. And I every day need to navigate between, I'm a technologist, I know where technology is going, I know the impressive, exciting side of technology, but also know the dark side of technology. And I got to be careful on not letting it cripple or stand in the way of allowing my children to become technologists or adapt to the new trends happening in technology. And with that, I'd like to say that leadership, and if we look at, this is an interesting slide. You got leadership, you got AI, you got cybersecurity. But finally, if I was going to sum it in three sentences: create like an artist, solve like an engineer, and act like an entrepreneur. So, you need the human side. You need the creativity side, especially with cybersecurity today. Sometimes the most effective form of cyber, the best security officers and profiles are built around people who are trying to think like the hackers, or even going beyond, like going completely crazy on how a company can get attacked and simulate and test for that. So like an engineer, ultimately, you have analytics, you have structure, you go with it. But at the end of the day, we are all entrepreneurs. Whether we own a business, whether we work in a business, whether we are owning the business or employed by the business, we need to think like entrepreneurs. We need to think about how we are continuously bringing something new, something disruptive, and something of value to ourselves first, and then to the company. With that, I'd like to thank you for this presentation.
That was very fantastic, Stephen. Too much of technology based, and I think the advancement of AI is, as you said, it's huge, and how beneficial it would be is really a concern. So, in that matter, one of the question is, what matters more, speed or safety in technology in tech today?
Oh, that's a very good question. um, you know, I was yesterday. I was at a Mobility Live conference in Dubai, and they brought me to speak for autonomous vehicles. And I got asked the question saying, which is more important? Which comes into play more? Technology, social interaction, like learning, awareness, or enforcement, right? Like being able to policy, and guidelines and compliance. And my answer, and I'm sorry to whoever asked that question if I'm going to be giving you the same answer, is because we cannot think anymore as being these disruptions cannot be one-sided. We cannot say, there's only one set of rules or one set of stakeholders that are important. Like we cannot say, oh, you know what, the policy people need to do their job and we're fine. It's all collective, and I really believe in a idea called the circle of stakeholders. So if you look at speed today, you're right. We are racing so fast with this AI race that, I've actually gone the other way. I'm a technologist. I stay on top of everything. But if you ask me today, how much AI have I implemented in our company? I'll tell you, we've done robotic process automation, RPA, which is, pretty standard. That's maybe the farthest we've gone. Have I gone completely into generative AI and Copilot? No, I haven't. Because my answer to that is, before you jump into AI, ask yourselves, what are the challenges I'm trying to solve? So in this case, speed may backfire if you don't really know why you need to race in the first place. That's one. Second, when you look at safety, I think safety is something that we sometimes overlook and take for granted. Like I told you, if my children are on the iPad and everything, I just look and immediately make sure they're using, the iPad, that the camera is blocked. Because, I'll tell you a story. When my daughter first got her phone, and it was and she linked on WhatsApp, and of course she created a profile because she wanted to talk to one of her friends. And when I created a profile, I didn't pay attention to the fact that the profile, and yes, we can make mistakes, that the profile was can be accessed by anybody. This was kind of the security setting or the privacy setting. And she, comes up to me, she tells me, Dad, I got a very strange message on my phone. And I don't need to go into so many detail, but it really just, brought the, hair down my spine. I mean, it was like a very, I can't believe that somebody was kind of sending her this information. And I basically said, I blocked it and I changed the privacy settings. So safety is important. We need to be available when our kids are accessing digital content. And I would say that the only platform I use is LinkedIn. I am not on, too much in the other sites. And I think you need to have both. They're both important.
At the right place, I think. You need a speed.
Speed is important. If you have a problem, you need to solve immediately. You got to move fast because the technology moves fast. But safety is something that we need to practice every day, regardless whether we're in everything. And that's my answer.
Yeah, I think that's completely agreeable, Stephen. speed is constant, so safety should be everyday measures. That's what
Yes.
the answer. Thank you so much, Stephen. It was wonderful to have you. It's Stephen, Nazir, thank you so much. And we have a couple of questions. We will address this to your email.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for your safety inputs, security information, and all this solutions. People will reach out to you, and we have a couple of questions from other attendees. We'll address this to your email. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Namaste. Bye bye. Namaste.
Bye.